Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. I'm guest designing this month for Pretty Pink Posh using their brand new May 2023 release. I'll quickly go through the items I received, but there are lots of other fun products available, and I do have a link in the description box if you want to check it out. I have 3 of the new confetti mixes, mint shimmer, purple shimmer, and also blue shimmer. There are 3 different sizes in each package, and I love the sequin design since it doesn't have a hole in the middle. I received several stamp sets. The first one is called A Little Birdie. It has some adorable bird images and 2 sentiments. A little birdie told me, and you're the tweetest. And I also have the coordinating dies. Pretty Pink Posh always has such adorable images. The next stamp set is called Get Well Soon, and I also have the coordinating dies. And it's fun that the die set also includes a label that fits around each of the sentiments. There are 4 sentiments included: Get Well Soon, Sending Love and Hugs, Hope You're Feeling Better, and Sorry You're Under the Weather. This set also includes a nice variety of images, perfect for creating a Get Well Soon or sympathy card. And I do want to mention the magnetic sheets are not included with the sets. The final stamp set I received is called Spring Birdhouses. There are 3 fun birdhouse images and 2 sentiments: Missing You and You're So Tweet. I also have the coordinating dies to go around all of the images. Next are a couple of sentiment dies. I have the word Congrats. This is Congrats Shadow. It has the word and also the outline. And I also have the hot foil version of Congrats script. And the outline die also works for the hot foil plate. The final die set I received is Graduation Mug Editions. This is a fun add-on set that goes along with their original mug die set. But you can also use the images without the mug. There are 2 sentiments, Grad and Yay. We also have all of the numbers, so you can easily customize your card for the year of your graduate. I received 3 of the new stencil sets. First is Layered Music Notes, and there are 3 layers for this set. Next is Layered Graduation. This one also has 3 stencils. And the final set is called Layered Birdhouses, and there are 4 stencils for this set. I'll open it up so you can get a better look. 2 of the layers will create the roof and the floor of the birdhouse. This one also has a few of the openings for the birdhouse. The 3rd stencil has more of the cutout openings for the birdhouse. And the final stencil is the main portion of the birdhouse. It's always fun to use stencils to create your own background. I do have a few cards to share with you using the new release. Card design number 1 features the fun new Layered Birdhouses stencil set. I have a piece of white cardstock in a mini stencil mat. I'll adhere the first stencil in place using some tacky tape. The stencil mat is made from silicone, so the paper really doesn't move easily, but I like to use the tacky tape to make sure the stencil doesn't move. The top and right side of the stencil mat have a ledge, so everything stays snug up into that right-hand corner. The ink color I'm using for the main portion of the birdhouse is Flame by Catherine Pooler. The next stencil has some of the openings of the birdhouse and part of the roof, and I'm using Catherine Pooler's Uptown ink color. For the rest of the roof and the base of the birdhouse, I'm using Icing on the Cake ink color. I really like the look of the soft orange, teal, and brown together. With the Flame and Uptown ink colors, I went with a very light coat. Those colors can be fairly vibrant, but I really wanted that lighter color. With Icing on the Cake, I am trying to get a darker color. I use this ink pad quite a bit, and I think it's time to re-ink it. I noticed I had to re-ink my brush quite a bit while I was using this stencil layer. And I have sped up the stencil portion of this video quite a bit. For the final stencil layer, I thought I would try something different. I'm using Gina K Designs Glitz Glitter Gel. This is the iridescent color. After I tape the stencil layer in place, I'll use a plastic spatula and push some of the glitter gel into all of the openings on the birdhouse. When using the glitter gel, you really don't need a lot. You just want to get it in the stencil openings. I'm using the spatula and scraping off the extra to push into more openings. The reveal is always my favorite part. So once I've finished with this stencil layer, I'll take off the tacky tape, remove that last stencil, and look at the beautiful results. I did wait several hours to make sure the glitter gel was nice and dry. Now I'll use one of Pretty Pink Posh's Wonky rectangle dies to cut out a portion of this stenciled background. I'm trying to decide the best placement for the die to really show off the fun birdhouses, and I'll hold that die in place using some tacky tape. Here's my panel all cut out, and I also cut out a smaller Wonky rectangle from some teal cardstock. I'll cut that piece in half, and I'll be layering everything on some brown cardstock. To get the placement correct for the teal cardstock pieces, I'll first lay the birdhouse panel on the brown cardstock, and I have it face down. Then I'll adhere both halves of the teal Wonky rectangle die cut. Then I'll flip this panel over, put glue on the back side, and adhere it onto the brown cardstock. Put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. For a sentiment, I'll be using the word hello, and this is Pretty Pink Posh's Hello Script die. I cut out two pieces, one from teal cardstock and the other from some brown cardstock. And I'll layer the two pieces together so the sentiment has the brown cardstock drop shadow. Then I'll put glue on the back and adhere the sentiment onto another Wonky rectangle die cut, and this time I use vellum. Very carefully, I'll put more glue on the back, this time just behind the sentiment, and I'll adhere it to the front of the card. I don't want any of the glue to show through on the vellum. The vellum allows you to see most of the birdhouses behind the sentiment. Next, I'll add a couple of small heart die cuts, and I use some rose gold specialty cardstock. The heart dies are from Pretty Pink Posh's Candy Treats die set. I'll put two above the sentiment on the left side and one below the sentiment on the right side. I'll pull up the vellum frame and add just a drop of glue underneath the hearts. Then for a final finishing touch, I'm using a white gel pen and adding a few highlights to the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and this is card design number 1. I love how this card turned out. Overall, a very simple card design, but with such a beautiful stencil for the background, I didn't feel it needed anything else. Now moving on to card design number 2. For this card, I'll be using 3 of the Sweet Bird images from a little Birdie stamp set. And since I don't color images, I'll be stamping them on some pattern paper from All to New. This is their Gel Printings Soft Washes paper pad. I have the stamps in my Mini Misty, and I'll ink them up using Honeybee Stamps Intense Black ink. And I'll ink them a few times to get a good solid impression. I'm using some scrap pieces of pattern paper, focusing on the purple area of that watercolor design. Once I have the images all stamped, I'll use the coordinating dies to cut them out. For the background of my card, I'm using Pretty Pink Posh's Tulip cover plate die. I believe this was released either last year or maybe it was the year before. The die is still available. I love tulips and I thought it would be perfect to go with the sweet little birds. I'll be creating a shaker card. I have some double-sided adhesive tape all along the outside of the tulip frame and also a little bit in the center near the vase. I'll remove the release paper, adhere a piece of acetate. Now I'll start building up my shaker window using some thin foam strips. I'll add the foam strips all along the outside frame, making sure not to leave any gaps so the sequins don't fall out. I'll also put a little bit of foam dimension in the very center. That way there's more support in the center of the card, and I'll be adding a sentiment there so you won't see any of that foam dimension. I'll remove the release paper and fill up my shaker window with 2 different colors of the new confetti mix. I have the mint and also the purple shimmer confetti. I'm adding more of the purple color and just a little bit of the mint color. I'll shake the card once in a while to spread out the sequins. I'm trying to prevent the sequins from clumping up in one area. And if any have popped onto the foam, I'll simply remove those. Now I'll seal it all in place with a piece of pattern paper from the same All to New collection. I find it easier to line up that background piece if my shaker window is face down. Now I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. This pattern paper is so pretty with the teals and purples. Next I'll add the 3 little birds, and I will be popping them up using some thin foam dimension. For the tail area on the bird, I am cutting that foam dimension in half. I'll remove the release paper. I'll add the standing bird in the lower right hand corner. And before adding the 2 birds flying, I'll start working on the sentiment. I cut out the word congrats from some purple pearlescent cardstock, and the outline piece I cut out twice, one from some white shimmer cardstock and the other from some vellum. I'll adhere the word to the outline, and I'll use the vellum piece to create a drop shadow. Only a tiny bit of the vellum will show, but it does add extra detail to the sentiment. Once I have all 3 pieces adhered together, I'll put glue on the back and adhere the sentiment toward the center of the card. It'll be sitting right on top of the vase. Now I can add the 2 flying birds, put one above the sentiment on the right and the other above the sentiment on the left. And one of the wings will sit right on top of the letter C. I cut out 5 tiny little stars from the same purple pearlescent cardstock, and I'll adhere them to the front of the card using some small glue dots. This star die is included in the Graduation Mug Edition die set. Put 3 around the sentiment on the right side and 2 above the bird on the left. For a final finishing touch, thought it would be fun to add a little bit of sparkle to the bird's wings. I'm using pops of color from scrapbook.com. This is the Teal Twinkle color, and also Sugar Plum Glitter Nouveau Drops. For two of the birds I'm adding the glitter just to their wings, and on the bird in the upper right hand corner, I'm adding it to the wings and also the top of the body and the tail. Once it dries, it'll add a beautiful sparkle to all 3 of the birds. This is an easy way to add a little extra detail to a stamped image. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I don't make shaker cards very often, but Pretty Pink Posh always has such fun confetti mixes, and their new shimmer mixes look beautiful inside a shaker card. Now moving on to card design number 3. The pattern paper is from the same Altenew Gel Printing Soft Washes collection. I selected this lovely vibrant pink color and stamped the tissue box. I also stamped it on some white shimmer cardstock. I'll fussy cut out just the tissue portion from the white shimmer cardstock. And before adhering the 2 pieces together, I'll use a black marker and lightly run it along that very outside edge. I think it gives the image a cleaner look, but I'm trying to be very careful not to get any of the black marker on the front of the image. Then I'll put glue on the back and adhere the white tissue portion on top of the pink piece. And I've already assembled a second tissue box from the same pink pattern paper. For the background of my card, I'm using another beautiful pattern paper from the Altenew collection. This is a lighter pink color and it has some touches of orange in the background. I'll be layering it on some bright pink cardstock. First, I'll add 2 chevron die cut pieces, and these are from Pretty Pink Posh's Stacked Edges set number 1. This is still one of my favorite die sets from Pretty Pink Posh. I'll adhere both of those die cut pieces down using some glue, and they are slightly wider than my card panel. I'll simply flip it over, use my scissors to trim off the extra. Then I'll layer this piece on the bright pink cardstock, put ATG tape on the back, and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I've already stamped out the sentiment, "Sorry you're under the weather," and I used the label die that's included on the Get Well Soon coordinating die set. I put thin foam dimension on the back side. I'll remove the release paper and adhere the sentiment to the center of my card. Now I'll add the 2 pink tissue boxes above the sentiment. I'm putting some foam dimension on the back side, just toward the top, since the bottom of the tissue boxes will be sitting on top of that sentiment label piece. I'll remove the release paper, add glue on the bottom of the tissue box area, and adhere both of them above the sentiment. Underneath the sentiment, I'll add 3 flowers. The flower dies are from the Valentine Mug Edition set. I cut out the flowers from some orange pearlescent cardstock, and I used more of the Altenew pattern paper for the leaves. Just the outside 2 flowers will have the leaves. Once I've assembled the 2 flowers, I'll put foam dimension on the back, and I've already added a piece of foam dimension on the back of the single flower. I'll adhere the outside flowers first, then I'll add the final flower in the center. I'll put a little bit of glue on the back side of the flower, just in the area where it sits on top of the sentiment label die cut. Then I'll add the final flower in the center. I'm rotating it so they're not all the same direction. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding some of Pretty Pink Posh's Sunset Orange Pearls. I'll put 3 in the upper left-hand corner, 2 in the lower right-hand corner, and also 1 in the center of each of the flowers. I'm using an embellishment wand to pick those up, adding just a small drop of glue and pressing them in place. This pearl color matches beautifully with the orange in the pattern paper. So there is my finished card, and again I did make 2 using this design. I think the pretty colors will be perfect for brightening up someone's day. Now here's another look at the 6 cards I made using some new products from Pretty Pink Posh's May 2023 release. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. And be sure to go and check out the rest of the release. They have lots of other fun products available. I'm also participating in a fun blog hop to help celebrate the May release. There's lots of inspiration using the new products, plus a chance to win a Pretty Pink Posh gift card. And I do have a link for my blog in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.